Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is NTTV Nightly News.
Student government voting starts today. Find out more about the campaigns.
No Kings protest across Texas. We have the footage.
Have you ever seen a site like this? We'll explain later on.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on NTTV Nightly News. I'm Evanson Franklove.
And I'm Zaria Holloman. The big week has finally arrived on campus.
That's right, Zaria. Election week is officially here, and you can cast your vote on who you want to represent the student body.
But first, you need to know the candidates. Our live reporter Katie Muncie has more details into the campaigns and candidates.
Thanks, guys. Today marks the first day where students can vote for student government president, vice president, and senators. There are currently two campaigns running for president and vice president. The Unite campaign consists of presidential candidate Daria Smith and vice presidential candidate Esther Alumiwa. The goal of Unite is to promote accessible funding and resources for students. The Lift campaign consists of presidential candidate Durrani Avula and vice presidential candidate Devin Fairs. The goal of their campaign is to create a strong, inclusive community across campus. You can find the ballot on OrgSync. Voting ends April 2nd at 5 p.m. And our segment anchor Shannon Todd has more information about the Unite campaign that you might want to stick around for. Shannon?
Thank you, Katie. SGA elections are here, and the campaign team Unite is more than ready to connect with students and share what they stand for. The Unite campaign is focused on reaching students through tabling and social media, and they are also highlighting the importance of transparency at UNT. Here's a closer look.
In a time where student voices can easily go unheard, the Unite campaign at UNT is working to change that.
We really want to prioritize our community, basically uniting all of us, whether that's culture, whether that's ethnicity, whether that's religion. We should all be united with that standpoint. Making sure that transparency is coming from the administration to the students, but also I want to make sure that we're doing service initiatives within SGA to make sure that we are also not just connecting with UNT, but also the Denton community as we reside in.
Their message of unity and transparency is just one part of the campaign. The team is also taking action through student outreach and improving everyday campus life.
So to start it all off with Esther, she has been my rock since freshman year. We both met in SGA First Year Council, and I always knew from that starting point she would be my vice president.
Ensuring that efficient lighting is being set in various places can help create a more safer UNT campus. How I'm connecting with students is through like our Instagram. We post our pillars as well as post like ways for students who want to get more involved with us, like through volunteering and things like that. We had some past tablings this week where we really just got to connect with students one-on-one and for them to know a little bit more about us and what our campaign is and why we wanted to run.
From tabling events to social media outreach, the Unite campaign is working to make sure every student feels seen and represented ahead of the upcoming SGA election.
They are really good at engaging the young audience, and their energy overall is very, very high.
As election season continues,
Unite will be continuing their outreach as students are beginning to vote and encourages the students to learn more about their platform before casting their vote. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for a live interview with the candidates Durrani and Devin as they share Lift's values and perspective on the ongoing SGA elections. I'm with NTTV. I'm Shannon Todd. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Shannon. UNT students heard the SGA candidate debate last week. Today, UNT President Harrison Keller took to the podium to answer student questions about the state of the university. NTTV's Haley Stum was at Keller's town hall meeting. Haley?
Keller took the stage right behind me. That's right, Zaria. University President Harrison Keller took the stage right behind me not too long ago to address the questions of the UNT student body. The most pressing concerns seem to be the restructuring of programs. The biggest question was why? Why 85 cuts were made to programs like linguistics and women and gender studies. Here's what Keller had to say.
In higher education, we should not wax poetic about the value of what we provide if we were also expecting you to take a vow of poverty to be able to obtain those other goods. So think about that for a minute, right? Is the only thing we value earnings? Absolutely not, right? But we have to consider that.
The cuts came amidst a $45 million budget deficit announced in February. Keller cited reasons such as time to value and student enrollment as reasons for each cut. These reasons, however, didn't make it any easier for the students who spoke here earlier today. Reporting from UNT campus, I'm Haley Stum, NTTV News.
Thanks, Haley. Zaria, I asked for cooler weather and the universe delivered. Next time I'm asking for $1 million.
I think that's exactly the way I'm going to go about it. But for me, I'm going for a full year of free rent and 80-degree days every day.
There you go with the hot weather stuff. Let's hear from our weather anchor, Ian Cropper, to see which way the temperatures are going today. Ian?
Thanks, guys. Now, we have had 80-degree weather for the past few days, and it's going to continue for a few more. You'll notice right now the current and feels like temperature are both 83 with a strong 18-mile-per-hour wind to the south. It is at least nice and sunny outside. Going to tonight, you will see more of the same, although a little less. An actual and feels like temperature of 73 with a 14-mile-per-hour wind to the south-southeast. And tomorrow we have, well, more of the same, except a little different. Actual temperature of 83, feels like of 84. Wind does pick up, actually, 22 miles per hour to the south. But even though tomorrow is going to be largely similar, that trend won't last forever. I'll be back with more after the break. For the meantime, back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Ian. This past Saturday, millions of people gathered throughout the country took to the streets to voice their concerns amid tense political climate. This is the third organized No Kings Day, and more than a dozen rallies took place in the DFW, including right here in town. Denton Square saw a couple hundred people gather through the day. Aaron Erie has the story.
The city of Denton, Texas joined with other cities across the nation to participate in a No Kings protest on Saturday. Nearly 3,000 cities across the United States are participating in this No Kings protest on March 28th. Today's events mark the third No Kings protest for the city of Denton, and the community had this to say about their goals.
We're hoping for the largest one so far. We're just fighting everything about Trump. And fighting for the equal rights of everyone, and my rights as a woman, everybody's rights.
But Denton wasn't the only Texas city with protesters. Dallas protests saw a few thousand estimated attendees marching and chanting through the town. While it was mostly peaceful through the day, Dallas police were involved after a counter-protester assaulted a 71-year-old man. 57-year-old Chad Rogers was arrested and charged with assault against elderly and disabled individual.
To our south, the No Kings rally drew several hundred people in Fort Worth. This No Kings demonstration was held just outside the Fort Worth Convention Center on Saturday. Protesters heard from a variety of speakers, then marched around Sundance Square. Most people held signs with messages criticizing President Trump and his administration. There were no clashes with counter-protesters at Saturday's Fort Worth demonstration.
South Texas saw thousands more take to the streets as well. At least a dozen protests took place in the Houston area all throughout the city. One downtown protest contained a giant version of the Constitution carried by protesters down to Houston City Hall.
After the break, the ban of hemp products in Texas can have an impact on local businesses.
And how a cyclone in Australia affected the surrounding area. Stay with us.
Killed that as a director.
No, right?
I heard him. He said.
NTTV's longest-running Spanish entertainment show, and we're all about culture, creativity, and community in Spanish.
Vámonos.
A Comal County teacher remains hospitalized tonight after a 15-year-old student shot the teacher before turning the gun on himself. Hill Country Preparatory High School was placed on lockdown for several hours after the incident. The school is located in Bulverde along US Highway 281 just north of San Antonio. The Comal County Sheriff's Office says the 15-year-old boy died at the scene. Students said they heard gunfire and were immediately ushered into classrooms. The Sheriff's Office says it's still trying to determine the motive and how the student managed to get a gun into the school.
Smokable THC hemp ban goes into effect starting tomorrow. Hemp is a cannabis plant mixed with THC concentration. Popular hemp products containing THC, THCA flower, and pre-rolled joints will now be prohibited. Although CBD oil, edibles, infused drinks, and food are still legal. Many stores are scrambling to sell their hemp inventory before the ban takes effect, while other stores, like the Cannabis Shop, are preparing for a massive decline in consumers.
We'll lose a lot of customers because we have edibles and we'll still sell edibles. We just have a bigger market for flower, and that was like over 70% of our sales.
Hemp groups and retailers are still fighting as they have filed lawsuits to try and block the new ban. NTTV will continue to keep up with any new updates.
Evanston, we all know that Texas has some wild weather, from tornadoes, ice storms, hurricane, even some really, really hot weather, but nothing quite like this.
Yeah, this is incredible video. It happened down in Australia. A tropical cyclone triggered severe dust storms and turned the skies blood red. This is video captured by people living in a rural area of the country.
Not only did it turn the sky red, the cyclone caused power outages, inland flooding, and buildings were damaged when the high winds came through. This area managed to escape the damage and just experienced the red skies.
And what is even more remarkable is the beautiful blue sky that appeared within about 48 hours. It took that long for the storm to go through and the dust to settle.
Well, blood red, blue, or green, I'll take whatever as long as the heat can stay past 2 days.
Yeah, I know one thing for sure, and it's that Texas weather is always all over the place. We never know what's going on. What we need to do is appreciate these calm, simple breezes while we still can.
Appreciation. You know what? You're absolutely right, Evanston. So let's hear from our weather anchor, Ian Cropper, to see just how much more appreciating time we have left. Ian?
Thanks, guys. Now, we're not going to have any blood red skies, but I think that's more of a good thing. If you notice across the region, we do have largely consistent temperatures. Your high is going to be 86 in Graham, while your low is going to be 79 in Sulphur Springs, but that's going to be your only 7 on this map. The overwhelming trend across the region is similar to the one we have for Denton. Temperatures in the low and mid 80s and high winds. That's especially true in the big 3 cities, 83 in Dallas and Denton, 84 in Fort Worth. Going out to the wider region, you do see more of that trend, although with a bit more variance. Your high is 91 in Amarillo, while your low is actually 80 down in Houston, but that trend does still hold. Low to mid 80s with high winds, but that's not going to last forever. Let's look at that 7-day forecast, where you will notice that we do keep that up for the first few days, but we also start getting some rain chances. 43% on Wednesday. If it doesn't rain, then it'll almost certainly rain on Saturday with an 87% chance, where we are looking at a strong likelihood of thunderstorms. You'll also notice the temperature shifts a lot that day. We go from highs in the 80s to highs in the 60s. However, it will be nicer after the Saturday thunderstorms, and on Monday it'll be nice and sunny at 69 degrees, so that might not be a terrible day to do something outside. But it may start feeling like summer this week, but overall it's been a weird winter. Jaden Crumpton has been working on that storyline and joins us live. Jaden?
Thanks, Ian. We're here on campus outside the Environmental Science Building, where students are attempting to learn about the changing environment. For North Texas residents, the bluebonnets that come with the cusp of spring are an extremely welcome sight each year. The sacred state flower is already blooming in some parts of Texas, but experts say it's going to be a shorter season than usual. That's because Texas is coming off one of its warmest and driest winters on record. Despite the brief Arctic outbreak in January, temperatures this winter were 10 degrees above normal. There were polar moments, but the sharp swings between mild and cold did little to extend the bluebonnet season. And this, of course, is nothing new. 9 of the 20 warmest Texas winters came in just the past 20 years, and the lack of rain just added to the strange winter. On a national scale, Texas joins the rest of the states shown here in red. These states are already seeing red flag warnings and burn bans, with some of the mountain states seeing wildfires in what's being called one of the warmest winters in United States history. For a rapidly growing region like North Texas, this means more people, resources, and infrastructure than ever are exposed to climate-related hazards. Certainly a topic of study needed here on campus. Evanson and Zaria, back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Jaden. Well, spring is supposed to be rainy, but with this dry weather sticking around, it's leaving some people feeling a little low on energy. One good way to shake the blues is to do a little spring cleaning.
So true. Cleaning isn't just about making your space look good. It could actually improve your mental health. Experts say small changes can make a huge impact. NTTV's Naomi Ojamo explains how cleaning your space and even your phone can boost your mood.
Thanks, guys. Cleaning your space is not just about aesthetics. It actually improves your mental health. Experts say decluttering your space can reduce stress, boost your mood, help you focus better, and even help improve your sleep. But clutter isn't just physical, it's digital too. Prioritizing small sleep like notifications or setting aside a few focused minutes can help you take back control and beat that overwhelmed feeling. Manny Gaither tells us more.
So long, winter. Spring has sprung. But if breaking out the vacuum for a new season refresh doesn't sound tempting, there's another reason to do it. It's good for your brain.
Instead of labeling cleaning as a chore, reframe it as an act of self-care.
Clinical psychologist Susan Alberts with Cleveland Clinic says having a tidy space can actually boost a person's mood. She says it's been shown to improve sleep, concentration, and energy levels while decreasing stress and anxiety.
Cleaning provides immediate, visible, and tangible results, which our brain loves. It likes to see evidence of success. This in turn releases dopamine into the body, the pleasure neurotransmitter.
But if your motivation is lacking, Albert says to start small. Try tidying your desk, which could also include digital decluttering, closing out emails, cleaning off your computer's home screen, and avoiding distractions by muting alerts until you're done. If you feel your cleaning momentum begin to shift, Albert says to move on to your bedroom.
Just cleaning your bedroom and making your bed has been shown in studies to improve your sleep by 19%.
Then she says to focus on high traffic areas, the most used spaces in your home.
This is going to help to reduce the stress and conflict in the family. When these high traffic areas are filled with clutter, they create stress for everyone.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A cleaner space could mean a cleaner mind, and this spring can be the perfect time to start. Small changes can make a big difference in how you feel. Reporting for NTTV, I'm Naomi Ojamo. Thank you, and back to the desk.
Thanks, Naomi. After the break, gas prices are rising by the minute.
And how American Airlines flight was altered. Stay with us.
It's a jibber jabber. Yes, jibber jabber.
Jibber Jabber is a man on the street NTTV show for Instagram that's in its 7th season. With 2 hosts, 1 comfy chair, and a Would You Do Something bowl.
Pretty much the gist of our show is that we're going to be inviting UNT students, all of our lovely family over, and we're going to be talking to them. And when we run out of things to say, we're going to ask them,
would you do something?
I think we're ready to do something.
Yeah.
Fortnite son or Minecraft daughter?
Welcome back to Late Night at North Texas. Late Night at North Texas. Late Night at North Texas.
Color the world with peace and joy.
Tell me, Diva, what's the tea?
My niche of drag is dumb.
The spirits have guided you to me.
It's about to zoom past $4 a gallon. The latest threats against Iran from President Trump sent crude oil prices higher again, and gasoline prices are sure to follow. Karen Kafer reports. Almost said.
The White House Monday downplaying fears of further escalation after President Donald Trump's threat to, quote, take the oil in Iran and strikes against Israel by Iran-backed Houthi rebels.
Talks are continuing and going well. What is said publicly is, of course, much different than what's being communicated to us privately.
But fears of a longer conflict prompted another jump in global oil prices Monday.
It takes time for for this kind of a shock to play out into the market.
According to AAA, the average U.S. gas price edged up to $3.99 Monday, the highest since 2022. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said it's still too soon for the central bank to gauge how the conflict, now in its fifth week, will impact the overall U.S. economy and inflation.
We will eventually maybe face the question of what to do here. We're not really facing it yet because we don't know what the economic effects will be.
Meanwhile, Matt Schultz, chief consumer finance analyst for LendingTree, says their research shows households are already taking steps to protect their budgets.
Some people are even going and filling up with gas a day or two early to get ahead of things because they know that it's probably going to cost more in a few days.
Analysts at Macquarie Group said that Brent crude oil could climb as high as $200 per barrel if the war continues until the end of June. That would amount to a U.S. gasoline price of $7 per gallon. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafer.
An American Airlines flight attendant who went missing in Colombia has been found dead. The man is identified as 32-year-old Eric Fernando Gutierrez Molina. Molina disappeared during a layover last weekend. Molina was believed to have gone out with coworkers but left with an unknown woman. His body was found in a rural area and no word on any arrests. A chaotic scene aboard an American Airlines flight earlier today. American Airlines Flight 2819 was flying from JFK International in New York to Chicago when a passenger began yelling and screaming. At one point, the passenger threatened to blow up the plane. Law enforcement, including agents from the FBI field office, met the flight when it landed in Detroit. One passenger said the disruptive passenger reportedly said he had failed to take his daily medications. The disruptive passenger was then taken off the flight, and the flight eventually took off again and made it to Chicago.
Zaria, I know you're not really into sports, but please tell me that you know what March Madness is.
Yeah, it's like the Olympics for basketball, or like, that's close enough.
Well, not exactly. March Madness is, I'll just let Beth teach you later. But for now, let's hear from our sports anchor, Beth Spicer, to tell you about the things that were left out on the court this weekend.
Thanks, guys. March Madness keeps getting madder. Rangers start their season, and women's sports breaks more records. All that and more coming up after the break. I thought it was good.
What is best for you?
You want me to go on and on with the program until there's nothing left of me.
We are one now. Our goals are the same.
No, they're not.
Don't get your hopes up. Is that it? That's it.
Nothing can stop me now!
Yeah.
weekend was filled with madness once again as the Elite Eight wraps up. On the women's side, UConn showed who they are with advancing to the Final Four for the 25th time in program history, winning the tournament, coming back-to-back wins for the national champs. You can catch the Longhorns playing Michigan for their Final Four spot right now, as well as TCU taking on South Carolina later tonight. The men's side had its own excitement this weekend. UConn also didn't come to play around with a buzzer beater win of 73-72 over #1 Duke. Could UConn win on both sides this season? Guess we'll see. But if you need more basketball, you can catch the Sooners playing Colorado right now, and later tonight Stanford taking on West Virginia. Trading basketball for baseball, the Rangers are officially back with the opening series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Rangers are now 2-1 in this season, losing the opening game but winning the next two in the series. Yesterday afternoon's win of 8-3 was with some new faces. The Rangers newcomers Brandon Nimmo and Andrew McCutchen made their marks on the team, with both getting their first home runs as Rangers. Another newcomer pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, held the Phillies scoreless until the 6th, an impressive debut for all the new faces. The Rangers start another series tonight against the Baltimore Orioles. The score is right now, Another season that is just getting started is women's soccer, but with some broken records. The Denver Summit FC's inaugural home opener brought out 63,000 fans, the most heavily attended NWSL game ever. This attendance record broke the previous record of 40,000 by Bay FC in 2025. Some FC played the Washington Spirit on Saturday afternoon, ending in a 0-0 draw. With only 4 games into the season, the Summit sits at 8th in the league. Not too bad for its first season. This growth is good for the NWSL and the overall push to get more eyes on women's soccer. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Beth. Project Hail Mary landed in theaters last week as NASA's Artemis II mission prepares for launch this Wednesday. A sci-fi fantasy movie about a middle school teacher who must save their dying son. Shortly after the premiere, NASA will be sending 4 astronauts to roam the dark side of the moon and return after 10 days.
I put the knot in astronaut. I've never done anything. I've never done a spacewalk. I can't even moonwalk.
Ryan Gosling, or Ryland Grace in Project Hail Mary, is a science teacher tasked with saving the world by leaving it and traveling to outer space. The sci-fi film hit theaters on March 20th, just ahead of a highly anticipated real-life space mission, Artemis II.
The movie provided a catalyst for bringing people together who might not ordinarily think about science.
This week, 4 astronauts will step aboard a spacecraft for the first human moon mission in more than half a century. This time making a 10-day voyage around the moon without landing on it.
Artemis II, in the days ahead, will send NASA and a CSA astronaut into the lunar environment, the first crewed step of the Artemis program to pick up where Gene, Harrison, and Ronald left off on Apollo 17.
Artemis II will take humans farther than they have ever traveled from Earth.
They're going to actually look at the dark side of the moon. They'll be there for 3 or 4 hours looking for places where eventually there might be landings on the moon.
One small step for what's to come for the future of space travel.
Do not go back to the moon just for the footprints and the flags. You must pick up where we left off more than a half century ago. Build the moon base, create an enduring presence.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Well, honestly, if Ryan is up there, help is on the way.
Yeah, looks like we're sending Zarya up to the moon to go find him. Well, thanks for watching NTTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow at noon and tomorrow evening at 6 here on North Texas Television.